Good afternoon. My name is John Arnold, and I'm the Lieutenant of Training for the Frederick County Fire Rescue Department, assigned to the Training Academy. And it is my honor and privilege to be your Master of Ceremonies this evening. Frederick County's IIT video services will be taping the ceremony live and will broadcast it on Frederick County Cable TV for future viewing. Would everyone please stand for the graduating class and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may please be seated. I would like to point out in the event of any type of emergency, there are emergency exits to your left and right and rear facing to the external of the building. Please allow me to introduce our guests, as well as thank them for their attendance and various levels of support they have given the organization. With us today, the Honorable Jan Gardner, Frederick County Executive. Fire Rescue Chief Thomas Coe, the Frederick County Division of Fire Rescue Services. Dr. Jeffrey Fillmore, the Frederick County Medical Director. Deputy Fire Rescue Chief Kenneth Poole, Frederick County Division of Fire Rescue Services. Deputy Fire Rescue Chief Steve Leatherman, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Deputy Fire Chief Shane Darwick with Frederick County Volunteer Fire Rescue Services. Battalion Chief of Training Francis Malta, Frederick County Fire Rescue. And the Battalion Chief of Emergency Medical Services, Michael Cole, Frederick County Fire Rescue. We would also like to give a special thanks to Rick Harcum, the Chief Administrative Officer, Frederick County Government, the Frederick Health Hospital Center, Meritus Medical Center, Children's National Hospital, Maryland Institute for Emergency Medical Services and Systems, and Shock Trauma, University of Maryland Medical Center. Now I'd like to invite the Honorable Jan Gardner, Frederick County Executive, to the podium for her remarks.
Good evening. I'm pleased to be able to join you for today's graduation and to extend my congratulations to each of you, our newest Frederick County paramedics. Graduations are always exciting times. They're exciting for the graduates, for their families, and who have supported them throughout the challenging year they've experienced. And it's really a time to be proud of all that you've achieved. Today, we are here to celebrate your hard work, your dedication, and your accomplishments. Becoming a paramedic is truly a hard-earned achievement. All of you have worked incredibly hard over the past year to become paramedics and to achieve your goals. The requirements to move from an emergency medical technician or an EMT to an advanced paramedic certification can be pretty intimidating. It's very difficult and challenging to become a paramedic. For those of you who are here to support our newest paramedics, let me tell you a little bit about the process they've had to go through, though you may already be familiar with it. During paramedic class, students have to learn anatomy and physiology. I took anatomy and physiology in college. It was one of the most difficult classes I took. Legal and ethical issues, pharmacology, medical math, and more. In addition to all that classroom time, These dedicated individuals logged hundreds of hours of clinical time at a hospital and in other clinical settings, and completed a field internship on a medic unit. They completed nearly 375 hours of lectures, 360 hours of class lab work, over 400 hours at hospitals and in other clinical settings, and hundreds of hours in the field. Now, that wasn't enough, so on top of that, they had to take and pass 6 different exams, and they had to pass those exams before being able to take their final exam. Now, Paramedic Class 7 had an average score of over 87%, and that's very impressive. The 13 people we are honoring and congratulating tonight have met all of these requirements. They also took 2 rigorous national certification exams, both a skills test and a written test. And it's pretty incredible that 12 of them passed the written exam on their first attempt, and 11 the skills test on their first attempt. And obviously, they can take this test more than once. Frederick County's program does an amazing job of preparing students for the National Registry with an overall first-time success rate of 87%. The national average is only 73%, and the average in Maryland is 75%. So our students, our participants, and our program are really doing a fantastic job. So I want to congratulate all of you, our new paramedics, on top quality work that you've done over this journey of the past year, and for the dedication and hard work you've shown along the way. Completing this rigorous course is an achievement, but to complete it this year during a pandemic has even been more of a challenge. Certainly, the virus shapes everything that many of us do, but certainly what you do, from the questions you ask your patients to the equipment and PPE that you wear. Always remember that being a paramedic is about helping people, and you're all here because you want to help people. As paramedics, you'll save lives through the advanced care you can now perform and deliver to people in crisis. The higher level of service brings with it new responsibilities. And you'll also be asked to provide comfort and to deal with people, both patients and their friends and family, the people around them who may be very upset because they're facing some kind of difficult experience. When you're out in the field, always remember the human side, the caring side. It is really critically important to overall success and will make a big difference to the people that you come in contact with. People will always remember how you treated them, how you made them feel, as well as the service you provided. They'll remember the respect, they'll remember your care and your kindness. You are all clearly passionate about helping people, and for that, I want to say thank you. Thank you on behalf of all the citizens of Frederick County for going through this past year to become a paramedic. I certainly want to acknowledge your program director, Captain Ann Jonikin, your instructors, Lieutenant Stephen Ward, Fire Medic Margaret Nawalczyk, and instructor Greg Ruff. They've certainly done an outstanding job and delivered an outstanding program, and I thank them. You are in an admirable profession, and I'm grateful that you've chosen this career and that you've chosen to work and serve in Frederick County. Congratulations. I wish you much success and much happiness and self-fulfillment in this job. And to your families, thank you for your support, the support you've given over the past year and the support you'll give over the future years. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Executive Gardner. Now, if I could have Fire Chief Tom Coe come to the podium for our opening remarks.
Good evening. I would like to join the County Executive in sharing my congratulations with the graduates on their successful completion of the 2021 Paramedic Educational Program. Today, we celebrate the accomplishments of 13 public safety professionals as they have each successfully completed what is without a doubt the most challenging and intense training program offered in the fire service. Over the last 11 months, the members of Paramedic Class 7 have completed more than 1,800 hours of training that's included lecture, practical skills, and clinical experiences. After hours of studying and taking what seemed like an endless number of quizzes and tests, the graduates are now poised to become the premier pre-hospital care professionals they've been trained to be. Paramedics are truly incredible individuals when you think about it. While the skills they perform, the medications they administer, the protocols they follow are similar to others in the medical field, paramedics perform their skill set in the most austere conditions possible. They perform critical life-saving interventions in muddy ditches, in the middle of snowstorms, underneath tractor trailers, and miles up mountain trails. Those added environmental complexities make the job of a paramedic like none other in the medical field. For Frederick County's paramedics, there truly is no such thing as a normal day in the office. The Frederick County Division of Fire and Rescue Services is regarded as one of the top emergency medical services systems in the state of Maryland. Emergency medical services response makes up more than 80% of our annual workload. With your graduation today, you have stepped up to take on a new role with increased responsibilities that will ensure the reputation of Frederick County EMS is maintained well into the future. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our staff members who were key to the success of Paramedic Class 7. Captain Ann Jonikin, Lieutenant Stephan Ward, instructors Margaret Nawalczyk and instructor Greg Ruff. This group of professionals put a tremendous amount of work, both on and off duty, to ensure your success as prospective paramedics. They have maintained a training environment that not only made sure you were ready for the National Registry certification process, but more importantly, that you were ready to hit the street and serve the citizens of Frederick County. Paramedic Class 7, please join me in showing our gratitude to your instructional staff for all of their efforts in ensuring your success in your paramedic training program. I would also like to take a moment to thank the families of tonight's graduates. Your loved one's success in this program is due in large part to your support over the last year. I'm sure that it's been challenging as the graduates returned home from class stressed and emotionally drained. There have most likely been family events missed so clinical appointments could be made or so that students could study for their next exam. Graduates, there's no doubt that your success in this program was made possible due to the love and support of your family members. So please join me in showing my gratitude to them. Graduates, I thank each one of you for your hard work, commitment, and dedication to the program over the last year. You have attained a new skill set that includes knowledge of anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, and life-saving interventions. What's more amazing are those intangibles of crisis management that you've attained through this process. Critical decision-making, stress management, and leadership traits that paramedics acquire through their initial certification are critical to their success in the field. These new paramedics are resilient, and they're ready to handle any incident that comes their direction. It's now my distinct honor to introduce tonight's keynote speaker. Dr. Jeff Fillmore has been a fixture in Frederick County Emergency Medical Services for nearly 4 decades. He graduated from the University of Utah School of Medicine in 1979, and then Dr. Fillmore moved to Maryland and worked for more than 30 years as an emergency room physician at Frederick Memorial Hospital, retiring in 2014. He began serving as Frederick County's Emergency Medical Services Medical Director in 1985. Additionally, Dr. Fillmore serves as the Maryland Institute for Emergency Medical Services Systems Region 2 Medical Director and sits on the Maryland State Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's keynote speaker, Dr. Jeff Fillmore.
You know, the best part about giving this speech is I get to take my mask off and you don't. Sorry about that. This is a pretty special group. This is, and I just bounced it off Mike a minute ago, I think it's the largest paramedic class we've graduated since 1982-83 when we did our first class. And I think it's evidenced by the large number of people in the audience tonight. It's usually we're in a smaller venue. and it seems like there's a fair number of people, but this is a fair number of people even in this big auditorium here. I'm pretty excited about that. I would just like to say, too, they didn't get to stand up, and I'm not going to ask them to stand up, but the people who teach our paramedics are really special people. And all those names you heard mentioned by Tom, and they were mentioned once before, very special people. And we have a great cadre of people in this county that teach our paramedics or our paramedics to be, and I'm very proud of them. The only thing I'm not proud of is nobody had a good pen for me to sign your diplomas, and I'm sorry if they look kind of scratchy. Not my fault, sorry. Anyway, yesterday I had a conversation I have every week. It's a Skype conversation I have with a friend named Jonathan Eberly, and he lives in Vevey, Switzerland. And Jonathan's an architect, and we talk about a number of things every time: weather, architecture, medicine, religion, politics, all sorts of things. But eventually he asked me, as he usually does, "Qu'est-ce que tu fais cette semaine?" What are you doing this week? And I answered, "Demain je ferai un discours pour un groupe de nouveaux agents paramédicaux qui viennent de terminer leur formation et vont graduer." And alors il m'a demandé quel sera le thème de ton discours. He asked me what my theme would be today. So j'ai répliqué que j'en étais pas sûr et il m'a demandé comment un homme si bavard comme moi pourrait avoir un problème choisissant un thème. Et j'ai expliqué qu'au cours des dernières 3 années, j'avais donné chaque fois plus ou moins le même discours et j'avais un peu d'honte pour ça. Et je ne voudrais pas me répéter. Et voilà, on a discuté des possibilités un peu et moi, j'ai développé une idée. Voilà, on a discuté. Et l'idée consiste en posant 2 questions. Les questions suivantes. Quelle est votre vision fantasy comme nouvel agent paramédical? Où voulez-vous être dans 10 ans? And that's the end of our conversation, so that's the end of the French. But I'll explain most of these things as we go along here, so you won't. It's not like you missed anything, really. So no more French. But the questions are, what's your vision for your paramedic career? And where do you want to be in 10 years? So you could kind of ask yourself, why are we asking that now? Is it a little early? I don't think so. I think it's, we need to understand the process isn't going to happen overnight. We all know that. It's been a long process up to now, and there's still a long ways to go. But it won't happen at all if we don't have a little bit of vision. And I think that's very important. No one starts out just kind of hoping to be an adequate paramedic. You know, someone that does his or her work in the shadows without anybody noticing. You want to be confident, and you want people to have confidence in you as a leader. Just not overconfident. My friend Mark, or Dave Chisholm up in Washington County sometimes says, the only guy who scares me is the guy who doesn't know what he doesn't know. He's a little overconfident. It's confidence tempered with a little bit of humility. A little bit of humility is good for all of us. When I was a kid, we didn't have online ordering. You couldn't do your Christmas shopping online. It didn't exist in the 50s and 60s. So what we had back then, though, was catalogs. I mean, big catalogs. And some of the people in the audience probably remember getting a Sears catalog several times a year. Ours was about this thick. And so all sorts of stuff in there. Appliance, tools, clothing, sporting goods, you name it. It was all in there, home furnishings. But one thing that was kind of interesting about the catalog is in the items that had several models or several selections, there were some items that were designated as good, which meant they were adequate, they would serve you well, they wouldn't wear out too fast, they were worth the money. But there's others that were designated as better. They cost a little bit more, but they were more durable. Vielleicht, sorry, that's German. It's, they were, if they were tools, they were machined a little bit more precisely, better materials. But there was also a third category. That category was best. So there was good, better, and best. And best was the things that, they were the most expensive in the catalog, but if you want something that really lasted a long time, was really worth the money, and you'd probably get your money's worth because it wouldn't wear out as fast, you bought the best. And so I think we need to have kind of that vision. It's okay to be good, and you can be a good paramedic. You can kind of bumble along. You'll know your stuff. You'll be exposed constantly to your coworkers who know what they're doing, and you'll hear all the shop talk. You'll have your yearly or bi-yearly sessions with us to give you the updates, as they're called in paramedicine. You'll get all that. But if you really have a plan and a vision, you want to be the best. I know all of you do. Because like I say, nobody starts out wanting to be average or just getting by. So how do you do that? So basically, there's a few things that each individual can do to be the best. And it starts with little things like knowing your protocols. Now, the protocols are these pages in a book that tell our paramedics, if you have this symptom or this problem, these are the things that you do in this order with these patients. And it's important for them to know that because they're not licensed to just do anything that they feel can be done, but they have to stay within particular parameters. So it's important to know your protocols. And the way to know them, you'll know them when you're done, but if you're like me, you forget stuff if you don't review it all the time. So you review them all the time. Perhaps every time you have a shift, you spend an hour reviewing them. Do them with a coworker. Bounce them off each other, and you'll keep up to date on your protocols because you'll get new ones, and you want to know the old ones and see where the new ones fit. Procedures are the same. And I know it's not possible to practice procedures quite like it is protocols, at least on humans, right? But there are ways to practice, and if you feel you need help, what do? You talk to somebody, your chief or your supervisor, and you say, I need a little help with this procedure. Where can I practice this, or who can I do it with that can help me with it? Don't be afraid to ask. Never be afraid to ask. Reports. Reports are important. And it's not just a matter of legal importance or billing importance, but even in the process of, say, for instance, quality assurance, we have to be able to read what went on. And so develop a technique. You have to have a system, right? And I think probably all of you have kind of a system right now. You could change systems if you find something that works better, but just have a way of doing things. For instance, I never write full sentences when I'm making a patient record, unless I'm quoting something that was said by someone that's important. But generally, it's kind of a telegraphic style with bulletins sort of thing. And I abbreviate things. I know there's some abbreviation you can and can't use, but anyway, develop your own style, but make it a good style. Make sure that you do nice, complete records. That really is a good part of being a good paramedic. Organizing a scene. When you're the paramedic, you're in charge not only of the patient, but the scene as well, as it affects the patient care. So what goes into that? You have to be aware of the roles of all the people that are there, or their possible roles as they might be able to help you if something changes. You need to know who's there. You need to know what their skills are so you know who to ask for what. You need to know their names. You need to learn everybody's names. And you need to develop some communication skills. There's a right and a wrong way to ask people to help you, right? Especially if you want them to be enthusiastic about helping you next time. Take advantage of classes. We've got lots of classes in DFRS. But there's also classes outside of the county here. There's classes in the state. There's classes nationally. There's conferences you can go to. There's a lot of things to read. And it's a good habit to always be reading something about paramedicine. Look up stuff online. And if it doesn't all make sense to you, ask your supervisor. And they can kind of explain some of that to you. So don't be a good reader. And lastly, I'd say, and kind of repeat, don't be afraid to ask questions. In the emergency room, on calls, after calls, pick people's brains. Find out, how would you have done this? Is there a better way I could do this? And that's the way you'll learn, what other people do. Don't wait for someone to come up to you and say that was a dumb thing to do, which they won't really do. But ask them and let people continue to mentor you throughout your career. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So that's you, but there's also your place in the system. Where are you as a cog in the wheel, so to speak? There's some easy stuff. And I think this was already kind of alluded to, but I mean, some stuff's very basic, but somehow it becomes difficult for people. Number one, treat people the way you want to be treated. Be nice. Paramedics can be nice. It's okay. And patients appreciate it, and your coworkers appreciate it. Secondly, I'd say always do what's right for the patient. Always, always, always do what's right for the patient. Within the parameters, of course, of what you're allowed to do, but always choose that path to do the right thing for the patient. Third, don't gossip. Don't gossip. If someone has a problem or makes a mistake, it's not dinner conversation. Never. Not dinner conversation. If someone's having a problem, it's a conversation you have maybe with your chief or your supervisor, because they know how and are ready and willing to help people if they have a problem, to deal with their problem and help them improve their paramedic skills. This is all just maturity, isn't it? It's being an adult. It's not being a child or an adolescent. It's being a grown-up. And we're all grown-ups here, so this shouldn't be a problem for any of us. So the best paramedic understands that simply being a paramedic, he or she is a leader. Whether you like it or not, you're a leader. And just remember, nobody's a complete failure, because you can always be used as a bad example, right? But you don't want to be that person. You want to be the leader that is the good example. So you've got some big changes coming, and it's not just precepting, but it's even while precepting, you're leading. So your example of how you deal with patients, your skills, your demeanor, who's watching you? The family's watching you, patients watching you, EMTs are watching you. Some of them may be future paramedics, and they're watching to see how a paramedic does these things. Your behavior while doing those things, including your interaction with other people caring for the patient, is also leadership. Your organizational skills, how you organize the people that are helping you, that's all leadership. And it's something we hope that you learn really well, even during preceptorship, but then beyond, then keep honing those skills. So how do you lead? I hope you've had some really good role models. I like to think that our preceptors are really good people, really good paramedics, and I think they've hopefully given you some really good role models. Hopefully you've chosen some of those people, maybe not in an active sense in terms of, I want so-and-so to be my role model, but just recognizing that some people, kindred spirits maybe in behavior, that they're the kind of people that you want to emulate. And it's a good thing to do. Learn people's names, and not just your leaders, that's the easy part, right? But the hundreds of EMTs in the county here, the more names you learn, and the more names that when you're in a situation, you can say, hey, Robert, help me out with this, instead of, hey, you. That's leadership. That's probably the first, our county executive could probably tell us that's the first thing in politics, is you learn everybody's name so you can call them by name, right? So it's a good habit, and it's good leadership. It always is. Communication skills. So not only with EMTs, but also with families. Remember, when somebody calls 911, they're usually a little bit scared, right? They don't know how serious the problem is. And sometimes that makes them behave in ways that they normally wouldn't behave. Maybe they're a little bit short, maybe they're a little curt, maybe they're maybe kind of questioning what you're doing, but it's mostly because they're kind of scared about what's going on. So just remember that kind words always diffuse situations, just about always. I mean, there's some people that are impossible, I understand that, but just being calm and speaking kind words to people is very helpful. And you need two vocabularies. You need one to interact with your medical team. So you need to know medically how to describe something or what you want, or how much to draw up or that sort of thing in terms of treatment. But you also need a vocabulary for patients, and that's not medicalese, is it? They don't understand that. It's like someone came to you and started talking to you about the engineering that goes into building a bridge. You and I wouldn't understand that. Well, maybe some of you have engineering backgrounds, but we wouldn't understand. It's the same with medical things. We get kind of used to talking medicalese ourselves. We forget that everybody doesn't speak that language with us. So that's important. I can't tell you how many times in the emergency room I would call a specialist to come in and admit a patient or take them to surgery or take over their care. And I would stay in the room for a minute if I did know it was going to be a problem, or if I just didn't know them. And I'd listen in to make sure they were able to tell the patient what they needed to know, because sometimes I would have to stay, and every 4 or 5 sentences I would politely insert myself into the conversation and say, what your doctor is saying is, because the patients need to know what's going on, and their families need to know that too. And it's the same in the field. So that's important. So learn some phrases. And I think number 1 and 2, of course, are just simply please and thank you. And often it's not whether you say please and thank you, whether you do say it or not. It's when you don't say it that probably it sticks in people's craw a little bit. When you bark orders, but you forget that politeness doesn't really cost you any time. Also just learn some of those phrases like, nice job. Hey, way to go. Hey, I really need your help over here. Have you ever seen that movie Hancock? Okay, it's a Will Smith movie. He's got superpowers, but he's a train wreck. He's out of control. And they try and teach him how to get people to like him. And it starts off with just saying, good job. Well, it actually does speak volumes. When you actually take the time to look at somebody and look them in the eye, and if you know their name, call their name and just say, good job. It's part of being a leader, getting the people on your team, and willing and enthusiastic to help you. And after a call, take people aside. Say, hey, you really were a big help. Or, I couldn't have done that without your help. Or, you're a big help in a really difficult situation. Thank you very much. That goes a long ways. And it's something we can't get enough of in Frederick County and in our Department of Fire and Rescue Services. Everybody needs to really appreciate each other, because we all do a difficult job. And to get a little bit of praise, even a little bit, is sometimes just very, very rewarding for all of us. So your behavior and your leadership will help other EMTs want to become paramedics. I mean, who wants to emulate somebody who's arrogant and mean? But if you're nice and they see that you set a good example as well as being a crack paramedic, they're going to want to do what you do. And we'll get more people so that you can promote and we won't leave empty spots. But more importantly, just so that we get the best people doing this job. So I hope that you'll all want at some point to be preceptors. Precepting, as you've kind of noticed, is important, because you'll be having precepting if you've been exposed to our preceptors to some degree. But it's a way of paying forward. It's kind of getting people to pay forward in a nurturing, I hope, system that puts best paramedic development and best patient care right at the top of the list. So I hope you'll consider that. And so, in closing, let me just say, I have every confidence in all of you that you're really going to do well, and I really mean that, and that you'll all be a great addition to our ALS program. So thank you for your interest and all the hard work that you put in. And I know you got a lot of hard work ahead of you, but I know you can do it. And so go out there and just be the best paramedics you can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fillmore. If I could now have Lieutenant Stephan Ward come to the stage.
All right. Good evening, everybody. If you guys don't know, my name is Lieutenant Stephan Ward, and I had the pleasure of being their lead instructor through the last 10 or so months as a paramedic Class 7. I'd first like to start off by thanking County Executive Jan Gardner, Chief Co., and all of our other distinguished guests for joining us tonight. I would also like to thank all of the friends and family that have joined us as well, and your sacrifice for the last 10 months with these students. They've been tasked with 24 hours a week of class, over 1,000 hours of clinical time and crazy hours, including sometimes overnights, and the seemingly endless study time. So for that, we thank you and your sacrifice and your support for these students. As I was thinking about this speech, I could not help but think all the way back to approximately September of 2020, when I first received a phone call from Captain Jonikin asking if I would be interested in teaching a paramedic class and the next paramedic class. I distinctly remember I was standing in the annex building at the training center, and my initial first thought was, no way, I am not prepared for that. So after about 3 hours and a conversation with my wife, I called her back and said, I'm in. Having no idea what I just got myself into, I can definitely look back now and say it was one of the best decisions of my life. As with most new adventures in life, most people set goals for themselves, and that's exactly what I did. I made it pretty easy, and everybody knows, all my students know, I keep the KISS method, and I keep things simple. So I came up with one goal, and that was just to be the instructor that I would want to have for such a demanding course, and make sure that the course was not only fun, but memorable, while enhancing the students' knowledge within paramedic. I did not make a goal based on success or failure, because I've learned through my career as a paramedic, there will be successes and there will be failures. It's all about how you respond to them and learn from them. So we started class early January of this year, and I can still remember that first day and everybody's faces, the very eager look, ready to learn. Most of you had very little interaction with me prior to class, but I was also excited and obviously seemingly nervous, as I am right now, in case you didn't pick up on that. Yeah, see? Break the ice. After working through some of the admin items, we got started right into the material. Students, remember that first week? Human systems, general principles of pathophysiology and pharmacology. More importantly, neurotransmitters. Yeah, me neither. I will never forget how I felt the first week of class, and I will never forget the looks on the faces after that first week. It was literally as if your brains were stretched to the max, while at the same time thinking, this is just the first week. I even remember saying, don't quit on me yet. I promise it will get better. Thanks for not quitting. I appreciate that. And I do think that I was right when I said it. Yeah, hang on. And I do think I was right when I said it would get better. We moved on from that week really began to dive into the skills everybody comes to learn. We first learned how to draw up medications out of vials, then we moved on to IVs, and after a few inadvertent needle sticks, you guys mastered it. See, I'm breaking the ice. Some people laughed, thanks. Then we moved on to the really exciting stuff, intubations, needle decompressions. Everyone was really starting to come together as a class, and all began to really getting to know each other. As we progressed through lectures, I remember thinking, I'm an easygoing guy, and I try to throw out some jokes here and there during the lectures to keep them more enjoyable. Early on, not getting too much feedback from the students. I would only get minor laughs and a few smiles here and there. I will never forget the day that all changed when Jamali broke the ice and tested my easygoingness. If you don't know about that, just ask after this, and he will tell you the story. I knew from that point forward that this class was going to meet the goal that I had set out. Be the instructor I would want to have for such a demanding course. Make sure the course was fun and memorable for a class while enhancing the students' knowledge in paramedic. You see, people with goals succeed because they know where they're going. That first day, I had each of you create your own goals for the class. I would like to give some of those goals. Read some of those goals. The first one, this is a quote, to improve my critical decision-making skills and to be willing to ask for help as needed on calls. The next, to be able to make sound decisions under stress. The next one, have a better understanding of the physiology of the body in order to provide better care. The next one was to challenge myself with what will probably be the most difficult class of my career. And the final one was get to the end, get cut loose, and be a good paramedic. As you move on from being a paramedic student and into the field practicing everything you've learned, do not forget the goals you set out for yourselves. Hone the craft of critical decision making and make those sound decisions under stress. It could mean life or death for that stranger you swore to protect. Don't be afraid to ask for help if needed. No one can do everything by themselves. Continue to learn more and more about paramedicine every day. Learn from your peers. Continually challenge yourselves. Most important, become a good paramedic. Become the paramedic you would want treating you or your loved one. Make new goals for the future and continually work harder and harder to reach them each and every day. Once you have reached them, create new ones. Set the bar high. In closing, I will leave you with two messages, and these were both messages that I received when I was in your shoes. One was before I started the paramedic program, but didn't understand fully until I was a functioning paramedic, and that was, it will make you a great critical decision maker. That was actually told to me by my then battalion chief, Tom Coe, and you can see where he's at today. That is something I will never forget, but I never truly understood until I was out functioning in the field. I've told you guys that before, but do not forget that it will definitely make you a critical decision maker. That rings through in my mind every single day on the medic unit, because every single day you will make a critical decision. The second message, something I was told after I had graduated, was stay humble. Always remember to stay humble as a paramedic. Continue to learn the new things and perfect your craft. You will never know everything, and you should never expect to know everything. Never let your guard down. It will come back to bite you in the end. Remember your beginnings, learn from your peers, and one day pass that knowledge on to the next generation of paramedics. So that's all I have. So without further ado, I was hoping for a better ending. I don't know. But without further ado, I would like to introduce the Valedictorian of Paramedic Class 7 for a few remarks. From day one, this student took on a leadership role as a class liaison. She took on the daunting task of scheduling all of the students for their clinical time throughout the 10 months of class, all while maintaining high marks with each written exam and continually earning near perfect scores on each psychomotor portion of the exam. Her overall grade point average at the end of class was a 91.5%. Ladies and gentlemen, the Valedictorian of Paramedic Class 7, Nicole McNamara.
Right. Wow, it feels different up here. It's kind of like that day we went to the cadaver lab. Am I as pale now as I was then? Paramedic Class 7. 1 year ago, we were just applying, reading, studying, working, and trying. Hoping to earn a seat in the class. For PC7, 16 people did pass. But no time to celebrate, no time to enjoy. The journey starts here, we must now employ. Innovative tactics, fresh strategy for our new home, the Academy. With lectures and clinicals, time split in half, medic units, hospitals, meeting new staff. Read your textbook and get platinum done. Learning new skills, so far it's still fun. 48 hours can sure take a toll. Give it your all, whole heart and whole soul. Missing time with family, worry over tests. Things start adding up, compiling stress. For this reason or that, we did lose a few. Now lucky 13 will persevere through. Med math, pediatrics, airway cardiology, endocrine obstetrics, trauma, and neurology. Added responsibility, less sleep, long nights, attention to detail, achieving new heights. With all the headache, many may question, why do we choose it? Why make the concession? We meet people on their worst days, surrounded by chaos in a dark haze. In just a few moments, rendering decision, we must be accurate, we must use precision. Medics desire to help those in need, uphold the promise to which we've agreed, Your problems made better than they were before. Next, get in service, be ready for more. Maintain our resolve and strong motivation. Our reasoning need have proper causation. An intrinsic drive, eyes on the objective. With ill intention, we won't be effective. But sacrifice was required from more than just us. Our husbands and wives, our children may fuss. For our minds, our bodies, our time had to give, while behind the scenes they remained positive. Many thanks they are owed throughout this past year. Only with their help could we make it here. Our name, our license, seems we're on our own. Truth is, nobody can do this alone. Lucky for us, we're surrounded by those who make it their mission, leaders who chose to impart their knowledge and show us the way, not just what's in books, but out in the fray. Captains, lieutenants, instructors, and chiefs, along with preceptors who get little relief. We have been built and we have been branded, prepared to reach the high standards demanded. So thank you to everyone who got us this far. No need to name names, you know who you are. On this new journey, we'll earn your respect. Confident in the challenge. Let's go, what's next?
At this time, we'll have the presentation of the paramedic class certificates of graduation. ALS Program Director, Captain Johnigan, please prepare the class for presentation.
Paramedic Class 7, attention.
Will the county executive, the fire chiefs, please come to the stage to congratulate the graduates as they receive their certificates. Richie. Lindsay Brittle, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Jonathan Byler, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Grayson Chu, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Lauren Cressetti, Frederick County Fire Rescue. James Gonzalez, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Adam Jamali, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Zachary Klein, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Caesar Lopez, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Aubrey McKittrick Troop, Middletown Volunteer Fire Station number 7. Nicole McNamara, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Jefferson Minton, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Justin Rolfe, Frederick County Fire Rescue. Danielle Shorn, Junior Fire Company number 2. And now, if we could, we'll give our instructional staff and the graduates one more round of applause. Everyone can have their seats, and I'd like to have Chief Tom Coe back to the podium for some final remarks.
You're almost there. It's really the only thing that stands between you and the end. I'll make it quick. As new paramedics, it's imperative that you realize the awesome responsibility that lies before you. We are placing the community's lives into your hands to care for in their time of need. Somewhere right now in Frederick County, a citizen's wondering if they call 911 for a critical medical emergency, who will be the person that shows up? And that answer is really simple after tonight. The answer is you. You are now the person that will be looked to provide quick, effective, and decisive life-saving interventions at someone's most desperate moment. Know that your journey to become a paramedic has not ended, but in fact has just begun. Paramedics, like most in our service, are required to be lifelong learners to ensure that they stay up to date on the newest trends and technologies in our industry. I encourage you to always keep learning and honing your craft to ensure that the citizens of Frederick County always receive the top-notch care that they deserve. Above all, remember that a large part of caring for your patients is caring about your patients. Listen to your patients. Be compassionate. Be their advocate. Members of Paramedic Class 7, congratulations on the successful completion of your initial paramedic training. I wish you well in all your future endeavors and look forward to seeing you out on the street putting your new skills to work. Everyone, let's give Frederick County's newest paramedics one more round of applause. I'd like to thank each of you for coming tonight and sharing this special moment with our class. This concludes tonight's ceremony.